Hello everyone, this is Himanshi Jain here and I am going to explain transport of CO2. Blood is the medium for transport of CO2. Plus CO2 is carried from tissues to the lungs through venous blood. As we know, cell constantly metabolize or go for continuously do aerobic respiration. So due to that, CO2 is produced and partial pressure of CO2 is 45 mm of Hg, intracellular partial pressure, and partial pressure in interstitial fluid is approx 44 mm of Hg. So due to this pressure gradient, CO2 will move from cells to interstitial fluid. Now here as I told you, the partial pressure is approx 44 mm of Hg, and from here the through aorta blood oxygenated blood is coming, which has the partial pressure of CO2 40 mm of Hg. So due to this pressure gradient in the tissue as we know here capillaries will form tissue capillaries, you can say. So due to this pressure gradient from 44 mm of 44 mm Hg, it will move to the 40 mm of Hg from its high pressure to its low pressure. So as these tissue capillaries will combine and form veins, till it reach the veins, the pressure has become now 45 mm of Hg, partial pressure of CO2. So from this veins through SVC and IVC, it will go into right atrium and through right atrium to right ventricle, and from right ventricle through pulmonary arteries, it will reach to lungs. Here, the partial pressure of CO2 in alveolus is 40 mm of Hg, and the partial pressure of systemic veins, you can see, or the from the pulmonary artery, the deoxygenated blood is 45 mm of Hg. So from this 45 to this 40, due to pressure gradient, CO2 will move from pulmonary artery to the pulmonary artery or pulmonary capillaries to the alveolus, and from alveolus it will be expired out. So this is how the pressure gradient or concentration gradient is responsible for transport of CO2. So now I will explain the various forms in which CO2 is transported in blood. First of all, I would like to mention in venous blood, it contains approx 52 ml of CO2 per 100 ml of blood, and arterial blood contains approx 48 ml of CO2 per 100 ml of blood. So thus we can conclude that approx 4 ml of CO2 is transported per 100 ml of blood from tissues to lungs. So how this 4 ml is transported in various forms? First, approx 7%, that is approx from 4 ml you can take approx 0.3 ml is carried in dissolved state through plasma. It is carried through plasma, and approx 60 to 70% is carried as bicarbonate ion. That is approx you can say 2.2 ml, and the remaining 20 to 25%, that is approx 1.5 ml, is transported by RBC. So first of all, now I will explain you how this 7% is working. So this arterial blood, in this arterial blood, approx 2.4 ml of CO2 is present in dissolved state, and in venous blood, approx 2.7 ml of CO2 is present in dissolved state. So as this 2.4 ml blood, 2.4 ml CO2 in dissolved state reach the tissue capillaries, it will take the rest 0.3 ml of CO2 and it will move to the venous blood, and from venous blood, and as this venous blood through heart chambers and through pulmonary artery, as it reaches lungs or alveolus, it gives approx zero point 0.3 or expired out approx zero point 0.3 ml, and remaining 2.4 ml is again, it again come with the oxygenated blood. So here we can say that approx zero point 0.3 ml of CO2 is actually expired out. Now next I will explain how 60 to 70% is carried out as bicarbonate ion. So next, moving on to the second form in which CO2 is transported. First, I explained to this in dissolved form, that is 7%. Next, it is in the form of bicarbonate ion. So CO2 will reach into RBC and it will react with water in the presence of carbonic anhydrase enzyme, and it will form carbonic acid. Now carbonic acid will dissociate into bicarbonate ion and H plus ion. This H plus ion will bind with hemoglobin protein, uh, because hemoglobin is a powerful acid base buffer. So hemoglobin will bind with H plus ion. So now the concentration of bicarbonate ion has increased inside the RBC. So it will move, as compared to plasma, the concentration is increased. So bicarbonate ion will move into the plasma, and as this is negatively charged ion, and RBC membrane is even negatively charged, and it is impermeable to cations. So to balance this, if balance this bicarbonate ion negativity, chloride ion will move inside the RBC through bicarbonate chloride carrier protein, and this is known as the chloride effect. Okay, so next moving to the third form in which CO2 is transported. So in RBC CO2 will react with hemoglobins. हीमोग्लोबिन के जो अमाइन रेडिकल्स होते हैं उसके साथ रिएक्ट करिए कार्बामिनो हीमोग्लोबिन फॉर्म करेगा. इट इज़ अप्रोक्स 20 to 25% और you can say 23%, that is just an approximation. So in this form it will be transported to the lungs. So now looking at the alveolar level, this was I explained the tissue level, what is actually happening right here at the tissue level. So next moving to the alveolar level, the bicarbonate in the plasma has reached right here, and now how this will enter the here. Now I will explain how why it has entered in the in the RBC. This dissolved CO2, which was approx 7%, it will directly expelled out into the into it will directly enter into alveoli due to pressure gradient, as I explained you previously, that due to pressure gradient, it this dissolved CO2 will move into alveoli, and through alveoli it will be expelled out. And this bicarbonate ion, how these are working. So as hemoglobin has reached into it was carried in RBC, it will dissociate here in H plus and hemoglobin. So as this H plus ion is here, it will react with the ions which are already present in RBC. So as this bicarbonate will react with this and carbonic acid will be formed, now the concentration of bicarbonate ion has decreased in the RBC. So to manage this, bicarbonate ion from plasma will move into the RBC. So now this again the same thing, chloride effect. But it will here will it will be called as the reversal chloride effect, because now what actually it is happening here. Now again this is bicarbonate ion is entering the RBC. So to neutralize this effect, chloride ion will move outside into the plasma. So this will be known as the reversal chloride effect. So this bicarbonate ion will react with this H plus ion and form carbonic acid, and similarly this CO2 will be dissolved will be due to pressure gradient, it will move out of the RBC and then expand out through alveoli into the atmosphere. And what and this reaction which has happened here, this hemoglobin is bind with CO2. So this bond is very loose bond formed. So as it reach here, due to the concentration gradient or pressure gradient, this CO2 will even move outside the alveoli into the alveoli, and it will move outside the atmosphere. So now this, as you know, I have explained the chloride effect. So next I will explain how what is actually Haldane effect and how this hemoglobin is dissociated from CO2. So as the oxygen entered in the alveoli, and here the partial pressure of oxygen is approx 100 mm of Hg, and of PCO2, and PCO2 is approx 40 mm of Hg. So imagine this is a hemoglobin molecule, and this oxygen has entered here, and it will bind to the hemoglobin. And as you know, hemoglobin is already bind to CO2. So binding of O2 to the hemoglobin will make some conformational changes, and there will be an H plus ion will be released. So the acidity of hemoglobin has decreased, and due to release of H plus ion, the acidity has decreased, and due to decrease of acidity, CO2 will dissociate from here, and it will move into the alveoli, and it will be expired out. And so therefore what actually we can define Haldane effect. Haldane effect is actually the formation of oxyhemoglobin, and due to formation of oxyhemoglobin, the release of CO2 or dissociation of CO2 and expired and dissociation of CO2 and its compound, and the expire of CO2 is actually Haldane effect. So thank you, and I end here with my topic.